出るはずがない。この地獄でこんなに無垢に笑えるやつは人じゃない。
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most entertaining anime that were criminally underappreciated. These shows went so far under fans' radars that they barely received the recognition they deserve. Not on our watch, though. Number 30, The Fable. Don't knock it till you tried it.
お前がファブルか。お前らが勝手にそう呼んでるだけだ。
When a professional hitman, Fable, is tasked with his hardest job, doing nothing, every fiber of his being revolts against it. After all, it isn't easy for a master assassin to simply give up his bloodlust at the drop of a hat.
わかりました。声。
Yet he must, and hilarity ensues. At first, the lack of budget might be a little too obvious, but the characters more than make up for it. Admittedly, it takes some time to marinate, but sometimes you just have to let it cook to get to the good parts.
せっかく仕事もらったし。
そういうとこなんかムカつく。
The Fable delivers when the time comes, with breakneck action, tasteful noir, and A-plus comedy. Number 29, Kemono Jihen. If you're a fan of shonen classics like Jujutsu Kaisen, Tokyo Ghoul, and Demon Slayer, this is the anime for you. It follows Detective Inugami, an occult specialist, as he uncovers a strange case. In the process, he meets Kabane, an ordinary-looking young boy who isn't exactly human.
わかったよ。
Together with a crew of oddballs, the pair encounter darker mysteries, all the while hoping to find Kabane's parents. Despite being overshadowed by titles like Mushoku Tensei and Dr. Stone Season 2 when it came out, Kemono Jihen has much to offer, as a generous helping of Japanese folklore and a healthy dose of suspense. Expect solid social commentary too. Just keep a box of tissues at hand to wipe away those tears, and you're good to go. Number 28, Yokohama Kaidashi Kikou. In YKK, nothing happens twice. This OVA from the 90s is an impressive prediction of what a post-apocalypse world will probably look like after the AI age.
ロボットなの？まさかわからなかったとか？
Here, mankind is slowly inching towards extinction, and Yokohama is all but underwater. What is thriving, though, is our android protagonist, Alpha Hatsuseno. Devoid of purpose now that her owner has left her to her own devices, she runs a quaint little coffee shop in the middle of nowhere.
こんなに？
This existential anime is for fans of lo-fi girl and synthwave boy, who need something cozy and peaceful, yet oddly intriguing to keep them company. You can try to decode Alpha's lore, but all you'll get is her doing chores for 15 minutes straight and some chill beats. But maybe look deeper.
まだいいか。
Number 27, your boy Ming. How much satire would you like in an anime? If your answer is simply yes, you've come to the right place.
わかりましたよ。ここが地獄なのですね。
Likening literal war to the music industry, your boy Ming exposes the cutthroat world of entertainment. Our hero is Zhuge Ming, a tactical genius from the Three Periods era of China. On his deathbed, he wishes to be reborn in peace. Surprisingly, his request is processed in record time as he wakes up smack dab in the middle of a Tokyo Halloween party, looking young and handsome.
してこのブロックチェーンとはいかなることでしょう。
質問ばっかりよ時間も。あんた本当に。
He eventually gets involved with songstress Eiko Tsukimi and vows to help her attain superstardom, even if he has to whip out his ancient battle strategies. The music slaps, the jokes land, and everyone's happy. Huzzah!
Be crazy for me, make me shine on you. You gotta see me when you hear my music.
Number 26, Orb on the movements of the Earth.
地球？
そうだ。太陽が昇るのではなく、我々が下るのだ。
Madhouse knew they had a masterpiece on their hands when this anime was pitched. Orb, on the movements of the Earth, explores the birth of heliocentrism during a tumultuous time in Poland.
人は神にはなれません。発言を撤回してください。
The Inquisition is out to get anyone questioning the Church right when boy wonder Rafal is on the cusp of discovering the solar system. We all know the science, but this show portrays the untold, albeit fictionalized, history of the painstaking sacrifices and struggles that came before it.
燃やす理屈なんかより僕の直感は指導説を信じたい
The drama of it all assumes epic proportions and is brought to life by an exceptional Japanese voice cast, including Kenjiro Suda and Maya Sakamoto. This one's a slump buster.
わけもわからんものに熱中して命すら投げる。そんな状態を狂気だとは思わないのか。
確かに。でもそんなのを愛とも言えそうです。
Number 25, Hinamatsuri.
力は常に使わないと暴走する。
そういうのは早く言え。
Nothing sets a Yakuza straight more effectively than a preteen girl ordering him around. In Hinamatsuri, a metal capsule lands on reluctant gangster Nita's head. What's even more absurd is that the egg-like capsule has a girl's face sticking out of it.
あっち向いてほい。
Although he initially nopes out of the situation, the egg doesn't budge until he releases the girl, and out comes Hina. Turns out she possesses unbelievable psychokinetic powers. Fortunately for Nita, her powers, though chaotic, come in handy in violent situations. Similarly, Nita's homemaking skills allow him to forge a wholesome father-daughter bond with Hina. This anime is slice-of-life comedy at its finest, with classic running gags and kooky characters, but it is also surprisingly moving.
新しい家族ひなちゃんに
Number 24, Akiba Maid War.
トン萌えトコ萌えトントコトン
照れてんの
いえみじんも
Contrary to the cutesy vibes of the title, this show lays bare an alternate shadowy underbelly of Japanese maid cafes. It's the 90s, and our main girl, Nagami Wahira, has just moved to Akihabara to chase her maid dreams.
いってらっしゃいませ
What's waiting for her is not just adorable latte art and winsome costumes, but an unforgiving world of organized crime and ruthless competition. There's a visceral quality to the animation, and the irreverent brutality gives way to dark humor that leaves a bittersweet aftertaste. Sure, there's some obviously gratuitous violence, but the pathos behind it cannot be ignored.
メイドですから
Number 23, Sabikui Bisco.
ダメだ。もう咲いちまう。
This anime paints a bleak image of a dystopian world where a mysterious rust disease has humanity in its deadly grip. Add to that some grimy layers of corruption, an ignorant government with brainwashed masses, and it suddenly starts hitting close to home. The only savior is Bisco Akaboshi, who's looking for the magical mushroom to cure all, riding on his giant crab. Problem is, he has been labeled a terrorist because the powers that be believe toxic fungi are what caused the flesh-eating affliction.
人食い赤星この程度か
On his relentless mission to save mankind, he meets the benevolent doctor Milo and kicks off a sci-fi adventure equipped with spore-shooting, shroom-spouting arrows. Come for the world building, stay for the power of anime and friendship.
な、うまくいったら。
うまくいってるのこれ
Number 22, The Elusive Samurai. The only thing elusive about this anime is how it's not a blockbuster.
あなた様の中の英雄は輝く。
From the top-notch animation to the obscure piece of history it dramatizes through its fantasy lens, The Elusive Samurai is a gem of a find. We follow Hojo Tokiyuki, heir to the Kamakura shogunate, whose carefree life is interrupted by the destruction of his clan. At the brink of death himself, he discovers a latent gift. He's a master of stealth and a sucker for surfing the ever-so-uncertain wave of mortality. Determined to avenge his family, he joins a questionable priest, prophesizing his soon-to-come glory, and reconstructs his shogunate from the ground up. Cloverworks sets this show up for success, but it looks like it's gonna be a sleeper hit. Number 21, Brave Bang Bravern.
今だ浮き通りをげブレイブ違う今度はブレイブズバッシュだ何が違えんだよ
If you have a love-hate relationship with mecha anime, that probably won't change with this title. However, what we can guarantee is that you'll be left in splits from its sheer absurdity.
さあ行くぞ
An ordinary international military exercise in Hawaii turns into a global emergency when aliens invade Earth with super robots called Death Drives in tow. An unlikely alliance is formed between the American Lewis Smith and Japanese Isami Ao, and a sentient robot, Bravern, that offers itself up in assistance of humankind. Director Masumi Obari's modern tribute to the Brave series is the perfect blend of old-school sensibilities, throwbacks, hidden genius, and a huge helping of yaoi for good measure.
イサミ大好きだ
Number 20, Welcome to Demon School, Iruma-kun.
夢じゃない
He's the sweetest cinnamon roll you're likely to meet, who also happens to have horrendous excuses for parents. How else do you explain them selling his soul to demons? Thankfully, Iruma's new hellish guardian turns out to be a pretty swell guy, adopting him as his grandson and enrolling him at a prestigious academy.
お願いだから変なこと言わないで
そして孫のイルマくんと撮った一枚がこれでーす
そっかおばれした
Just one issue. All his classmates and teachers happen to be demons that will devour him whole if they discover he's a human. Thus begins Iruma's new life, and while it may be rather light-hearted in its presentation, the sheer amounts of charm on display makes the whole thing a joy, especially when Iruma starts unwittingly becoming the toughest guy on campus.
後にこの決闘を見た者は語る。そう、それは見事なジャーマンスープレックスであったと。
Number 19, Gargantia on the Verdurous planet. Talk about a culture clash.
時間だレド戻れ
クーゲル中佐しかし
あいつらはもうダメだ諦めろこれ以上エネルギーを消耗するな
As a dedicated soldier of the Galactic Alliance of Humankind, Leto was fully prepared to give his life in service of his race by mercilessly slaughtering the spacefaring squids known as Hideaos. At least until he and his mini mecha were sent crashing to an ocean-covered Earth, picked up by a salvaged ship filled with humanity's remnants, and left to pick up the pieces of his new life.
チェインバー、座標はまだわからないのか。
観測情報が不足。時間を要する。
そうか。
The space battles are certainly entertaining, but what really sells this overlooked sci-fi is Leto's adjustment to leaving the battlefield, his relationship with the optimistic Amy, as well as his investigation into mankind's sordid history. Number 18, Macross Delta. If you're an anime fan, chances are you've heard the name of this legendary franchise, but perhaps not this particular entry.
脱出システム作動確認整備は万全だぜいい感じだ
Given how sprawling Macross is, trying to grasp a hold of the continuity can be a little tricky. If you're still determined to find a foothold, then there are worse places to start than the hidden gem Delta. since it takes all the elements that made Macross a household name in Japan with a fresh coat of paint.
私の歌を間近で聴いている限り問題ない。
So if you want to see idols singing their hearts out while fighter pilots blast the bejesus out of alien threats, here's your chance. Number 17, Aho Girl.
これは彼氏いない雰囲気。うるせえよ。
You like bananas? Chances are you've got nothing on Yoshiko. To call her one peel short of a full fruit would be an understatement, since the poor girl is about as functionally inept as can be. She cares not for school, bettering her life, or making friends. All she wants is some of that banana goodness and bumping uglies with her childhood crush, who wants little to nothing to do with her.
赤マジ優しい。
そうか。
If you're a fan of somewhat cringy, highly vulgar anime comedy, this is the one for you. Yoshiko may have way too many flaws to count, but that doesn't mean she's not as lovable as can be. Number 16, Good Luck Girl.
私は貧乏神のもみじ、神の国からやってきました。
What happens when you're blessed with so much luck that a goddess of poverty shows up to try and snatch some of it back before all fortune in the world is eradicated? If you're Ichigo, you battle it out every day against crazy deities and monsters, including a vicious teddy bear and a dog god who is not subtle about his masochistic tendencies. It's batshit from beginning to end, but thanks to the likability of the happy-go-lucky Ichigo and miserable goddess Momiji, this zany comedy hits all the right notes.
本当ありがとな、ちちこ。いつもお姉さんでしょ。
Number 15, Digimon Cross Wars. The dark horse of the Digimon franchise, which is a shame since many disregard it out of the gate due to the animation style having a much more kid-oriented feel to it.
お前には聞こえねえだろ。あのコードクラウンたちの声が。
If that's been your experience, we urge you to give it another go, since the original release not only tackles some of the brand's darkest themes, such as digi-genocide, but also wasn't afraid to go all out with its action and even its fan service.
私もお前についてきた甲斐があった。ありがとう、メルバも。
Plus, all the hype and combinations going around the whole thing has a huge Gurren Lagann feel. Put some respect on Shoutmon. Number 14, Barakamon. Finding the artist within can be a trying process, especially when you've been exiled to a new rural landscape on account of punching a critic who denounced your work.
なんだこれ、テレビでしか見たことないぞ。携帯にカメラがついてタッチパネルで操作する時代になんてもの。
Yeah, Honda and his inner muse haven't been having a great time, and while he at first considers this relocation to be a colossal disaster, the unexpected interactions and budding relationships with the island's locals soon starts to pave the way towards his own style of calligraphy. The feel-good vibes are all the rage here, and are perfectly woven alongside some of the more slapdash comedy elements, which is to be expected when Honda has to deal with someone like Naru all day long.
この島で。どうにかやっていけそうだ。
Number 13, Akashic Records of Bastard Magic Instructor. Blending together some of the best tropes of the magic genre and the resulting action, lore, and interactions between our two polarizing leads turned out to be quite intriguing.
特技と趣味は。
挨拶はいいから早く授業を始めてくれませんか。
ま、そりゃそうだな。
As a favor to his friend, the highly skilled yet unmotivated Glenn finds himself in a teaching position at an illustrious magical academy, where he immediately comes into conflict with the aristocratic student, Sistine. Throw in sinister forces working behind the scenes, Glenn's obnoxious sense of humor, as well as his charming relationship with his precious white cat, and you've got a good time in the making. Seriously, where is season 2? Number 12, Mononoke. Exorcising evil spirits has never been more stunning.
ありませんぜ。
左手に開いた。
Posing as a wayward medicine seller, this feline-like nomad traverses the land in search of Mononoke, entities that appear in the real world via the negative influence of humans, corrupting and potentially killing innocents, at least until they encounter the medicine seller's sword. But first, he has to identify their form, truth, and reason.
誰を殺した？
It's not every day you encounter a supernatural detective thriller anthology with a style akin to a moving painting. Honestly, the transformation sequence alone makes this series worthy of your time and attention. Number 11, Rokka, Brave of the Six Flowers.
試合内容の変更をお知らせするぜ。地上最強の男アドレットとあんたら二人の戦いだ。
7 of the strongest warriors the world over have gathered together, all with the sole purpose of defeating the all-powerful demon god. Just one slight issue. There's only meant to be 6 of them, meaning one is an imposter sent to foil their efforts.
あなたも私を殺しに来たの。
撃つな。俺はアドレット・マイヤー。お前と同じロッカの勇者だ。
From that point on, what was supposed to be a fantasy shonen becomes a whodunit, with newcomer Adlets caught in the crossfire as suspect number 1. While the action is solid, it's the mystery of who the imposter is that will keep you enthralled from start to finish. Number 10, Nobunaga Concerto. Don't you just hate it when you're going about your daily life only to suddenly find yourself flung into the past and are unexpectedly given the position as serving as Oda Nobunaga's body double?
その格好は時代劇の撮影とかですか？カメラとかは？
Besieged by the warlord to take his place, Saburo is catapulted into the life of one of Japanese history's most legendary figures, with only his modern knowledge to keep him afloat. Don't let the CGI fool you. Not only is this series all kinds of intriguing, but also does a sublime job at teaching audiences about the Sengoku period.
歴史変えちゃまずいもんな。
Number 9, The Heroic Legend of Arslan.
基本をお磨きなさいませ。アルスラン殿下。
A sweeping epic that pits an unprepared prince against a hostile world as he is forced to lead the remnants of his kingdom to war against those who would destroy them, all the while combating political enemies every step of the way. Considering this was written by the same genius who gave us Legend of the Galactic Heroes, should we really be surprised by its quality?
どうやらルシタニアの蛮族どもにも知恵者がいるようだな。そうだ。
With the art style penned by Hiromu Arakawa, you know, the creator of Fullmetal Alchemist, this series already had a phenomenal foundation. And while it may not quite reach the heights of the original novels, its scope is still nonetheless impressive.
焼き殺せ。
Number 8, Technolize. Just in case you wanted your depression with an extra dose of dystopian backdrop, sci-fi amputees, and faction wars, then Ichise's struggle to survive in such an oppressive place as the city is sure to bring you down several pegs. After his boxing career ends with 2 of his limbs getting torn off, Ichise has no choice but to take on the role of enforcer for one of the city's many warring cliques. At least until he encounters a young woman named Ran, who has the power to see into the future. Don't expect any happy endings here, just lots of compelling suffering. Number 7, Chio School Road.
無茶をしても遅刻はしない、それが私のクリード。
So many comedies fall by the wayside when a new anime season comes out, which is a shame because some of them are an absolute riot. Case in point, the life and times of this gamer girl, whose every morning trip to school somehow becomes fraught with hilarious danger.
千代ちゃんさ、落ちてもいいんじゃない？ 怪我はしなさそうだし。
Determined to remain neutral in the eyes of her fellow students, Chio will do whatever it takes to not throw herself into the public spotlight. Even if an average day for her consists of outwitting motorcycle gangs, traversing rooftops, boss battles with her backside on the line, plus a million other things your average student can only dream of. Number 6. Tsuritama. If you're not already drawn in by the vibrancy and striking colour of the animation, then the tale of 4 lads trying to save the world via the art of fishing certainly will. While you shouldn't go in expecting there to be a life or death battle that involves reeling in an eldritch fish, the interplay and likability of our main heroes is more than enough to sell the story, even if one is the pinnacle of introverted and another is an alien.
みんなでずっと仲良くしていたいから。
Number 5. Mr. Tonigawa, Middle Management Blues. Kaiji may have been a series that revolved around life or death gambles and one loser's desperate struggle to climb out of financial hell, but turns out his spin-off series is actually pretty light-hearted, which is kind of confounding as it focuses on the exploits of one of the series' main antagonists.
やっとクライマックスか。寝ている。起こした方がいいのか。
To keep his position secure at the Tei Corporation, Tonigawa must leap through a crazy amount of hoops to keep the business afloat and stay in the psychotic chairman's good graces. You wouldn't have thought having to remember the names of his identical employees, setting up a workplace barbecue, and learning how to use Twitter would make for good comedy, but Tonigawa somehow nails it.
お待たせしました。カツ丼大盛りです。
なんだこの圧倒的な量は。
Number 4. Trapeze.
イラブ一郎、よろちくび。
Also known as Welcome to Irabu's Office, this particular medical drama isn't so much about combating lethal diseases and the relationships between its staff as it is absolute madness that only the Japanese could think up. Despite appearing as a child, Irabu is without doubt the greatest, if most unorthodox, licensed professional out there. Whether it's a gangster afraid of knives, a gymnast scared to death of heights, or a businessman with some serious downstairs trouble, there's no condition Irabu can't solve. With the medicine prescribed often being crazier than the patient's predicament, there's so many laughs to be had, you'll end up needing an appointment yourself.
大丈夫。自信あるんだ。
僕の脅迫症の話は。
Number 3. SSSS.Gridman.
グリッドマン、俺を呼んだよな。
そうだ。私と君が覚醒しなければならない。
For fans of the original tokusatsu, you're in for a treat, since this series makes for one hell of a high-octane trip, with all its hype polished with Studio Trigger's signature lavish production. For the rest of you uninitiated in the ways of this talking mecha, just know that this has all the staples you could want in a show that pits a giant robot against a kaiju each episode, with a few twists thrown in to shake things up, especially when it comes to our villain. If that's not enough for you, then all we can say is that you're denying yourself the chance to see Rika's thighs saving lives. Number 2. Astra Lost in Space. This sci-fi adventure was one of those rare modern anime that succeeded in telling a complete story all in the space of a single season, and without a single misstep. Originally set to spend a few days at a camp on another planet, a group of teens from all walks of life are suddenly transported across the galaxy.
の時間は今計算する。
Their only hope of returning rests on an abandoned spaceship, where they must chart a course for home, stopping at several potentially deadly worlds along the way for supplies. For the cast and overarching narrative alone, this is a must-watch.
カナダ。
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. C. The Money of Soul and Possibility Control.
Direct.
Ever wondered what it would be like if Yu-Gi-Oh! Literally became the embodiment of screw the rules, I have money? Well, wonder no longer. As a destitute student surrounded by wealthy peers, the good-natured yet greedy Yoga finds himself drawn to a parallel world where combatants known as Antras clash for control and fortune.
分かったじゃないか。お父さんは授業に失敗して君を捨てたわけじゃないと。
こんなことにはまらなければ死なずに済んだ。
Socioeconomic death battles with crazy abilities might not seem like your cup of tea, but after the psychedelic visuals grab a hold of you, we're willing to bet you'll be back for more of these do-or-die gambles. Plus, this show, no lie, has one of the greatest soundtracks in history, including bangers by Taku Iwasaki and Lotus Juice. If you could only choose one of these underrated anime to go mainstream, which one would it be? Sound off in those comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from Watch Mojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.